and just go live. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys could just all put away your phones, please, and make sure that during this time while we're in the auditorium, you keep your masks up, so we don't want to have to keep reminding you.
Hey guys, welcome to the 4th annual BHS Senior Alumni Panel. This is a really exciting event that we do just for you seniors, where we invite some students who graduated last year back and they're able to share their experience with you guys. So we're going to start with just introductions, so just say your name and where you go to school.
Hi, I'm David Del Giorno, and I go to Coastal Carolina University.
Hi, I'm Allie Kavanaugh, and I go to UMass Amherst.
Hi, I'm Jack Passamano, and I go to Lincoln Tech.
Hi, I'm Ashley Wenzel, and I go to Assumption University.
Hi, I'm Carissa Deegan, and I go to Central.
Hi, I'm Victoria Maya, and I'm in the Air National Guard.
Hello, I'm Gina Scalero, and I go to Sacred Heart University.
Can you hear me? Yeah. We're going to just get started. So we're going to just start with David. All right, so David goes to Coastal. He's majoring in theater and hospitality and resort tourism management. So David, since you are the farthest away, does it get difficult being away from home, and how often do you come back to Berlin?
Well, this is my first time being home since August. It's a little difficult at times when, during Parents' Weekend, my parents weren't able to make it, so it was a little difficult around then, but I like living on my own, and I haven't found too many troubles.
What are the pros and cons of going far away from home? Like, if students are still deciding between New England and far away, what advice would you give them?
I would say to just send it. I love having my own life away from Connecticut. It's nice to see what is out there. And yeah, I have a list, sorry. Give me 1 second. One con is that it is very expensive to fly, so that's a major reason I haven't been back. Flying's expensive, yeah. So, but I just say go for it. There's so much out there besides Berlin, and you just have to be brave enough to go out and explore it.
Thanks. So Allie, at UMass Amherst, she's majoring in music education. So how did you decide on your school, and were there certain characteristics that you looked for?
Yeah, so when I was looking for schools, I was looking at like audition requirements, and I was also looking at their general programs, and UMass has this wonderful advantage of being conservatory-based, and for people who don't know what that means, it's very focused on performance and your overall skills. So you get treated as a performance major, even though you're not a performance major, maybe a composition major or an education major. And I wanted to best find a location where I can expand myself musically as much as possible. So that's a little bit of a different kind of aspect to what most people look at, was I was looking at their music programs instead of maybe their university or benefits of UMass, the food. And so it's like certain things like that I was looking for. And for me as well, I found a really big passion in marching band as well. And UMass has one of the best marching bands on this side of the country. And I was like, this is kind of where I fit in. And as soon as I got in, I knew I was coming here.
Thanks. So Jack, so you went a different route. You went the trade school route. So did you apply to any other post-secondary programs in addition to tech school, or you just knew tech school was the way to go?
Yeah, I just knew tech school was the way to go because I'm not really into like English, math, science, and all that other fun stuff. But like I like making money, and trades is where you make money right out the gate. So.
So can you talk about what your program looks like and how long it took you? So Jack actually graduated in 2020 from Middletown High. So he already finished his program at Lincoln Tech and is employed and making money now. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Lincoln Tech is a one-year course. It's Monday through Thursday. Half of the week you do labs, so you're hands-on. The other half, like you're doing all the book work, learning how to read blueprints, the code book, all this other stuff. And then, but the school, they're really good. So they help you like find a job. They help you do everything inside the school. You can't fail. It's impossible to fail. So you fail.
Okay, and how did you get a job afterwards? Like,
I mean, if you get a trade, I mean, it's really just know the right people, right? So it's like, I know the right people, and they put me in a really nice company and good position, and now I just got to finish out my apprenticeship.
Thank you. Okay, so Ashley Wenzel, she goes to Assumption University, and she's majoring in school counseling, which is really exciting. But she's also an athlete. She plays soccer. So Ashley, how do you manage your academic studies with such a busy athletic schedule?
So like in the beginning, it's really different because you practice at different times and you have other stuff going on besides practicing games. But for me, it came really easily because we practiced at 6 in the morning every day. So that was really nice because I know obviously it sucks waking up early, but it was really nice to get it over with in the morning, and then you have the rest of the day to focus on like the school work that you have to do and like going to classes. So for me, like I like to get all my work done at the beginning of the week, so then the rest of the week was a lot lighter. So usually you get all your stuff in the beginning of the week and weeks after that too, so you can plan out what you want to do when you have free time to do it. So like if you know that week that you have a game on a certain day, like to do the work before that, and if like you're gonna miss class, to talk to your professors and just know when you need to do your work. But other than that, it's really not that bad once you like plan it all out and look at it from a bigger picture. But yeah.
And what was your recruitment process like?
My recruitment process was a little different because junior year, some of you know, like I broke my leg, so that like really pushed me back. So in the fall, like I wasn't able to get looked at, and then in the spring is when COVID hit, so that was really difficult because I wasn't able to get looked at and I still wasn't healthy yet by that time. So I think just knowing that it'll still work out, like I felt like I was like I'm not gonna be able to play soccer in college, like it's not gonna work out, like it's too late. But I think just definitely keeping your options open because it all can work out, and that's what happened to me. Like in the fall when I was able to play again my senior year, I reached out to a lot of coaches and it just all ended up working out. So I think just if you don't think it's gonna work out, just know that you have options, and in the end you'll find something.
All right, so Carissa Deegan, she goes to Central. She's majoring in early childhood development. She also commutes, so she's not dorming. So Carissa, do you feel that high school really prepared you?
For the most part, it did. Like the teachers did a good job at teaching you different note-taking styles and how to like study, like tips. So I would agree that high school kind of prepares you. You still have to realize that you have to kind of push more in college. You can't just like sit back and just expect it to happen. You have to like really apply yourself, or else you're not going to make it.
What's the biggest academic difference between college and high school?
The biggest academic difference I would say is like the exams and the notes. So for example, in high school, you kind of go to your classes almost every single day. In college, it's different. Like, for example, on Thursdays, I have a class that's almost 2.5 hours long. And if I don't, like, take notes in that class and sit and really, like, listen, then if I have an exam the next week, I'm not going to do well in the exam. So you have to really, like, take your notes, take them good. Even if you have to, like, go over them again and rewrite them, that helps also.
All right, so next is Victoria Mayette, who took a different route. So Victoria is in the military, the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
So what was the recruitment process for you? And did you have to take the ASVAB?
Okay, so the recruitment process was a little different since I did go National Guard. I had to get in contact with the Connecticut-based National Guard and go through the recruiter that way. And I did have to take the ASVAB.
Okay. And when do you leave for basic training? Why didn't you just go right after graduation?
So I did run into some problems going through my recruitment process, since I did have some broken bones and they were concerned about that. Also, that since I was National Guard, my only base was Connecticut, and there was no jobs in Connecticut. So I had to wait for that, or I had to move bases. And I will be leaving for basic training in the spring.
Okay, thanks. And last, we have Gina, who goes to Sacred Heart and is majoring in nursing. So Gina, how did you pick and choose your roommate, and do you like them?
Yeah, so I met my roommate on Facebook. I went through the whole posting, tell me about yourself thing, and she commented, and then we just went from there. And I actually met her in April, so I was good with that. I went random with my suite mates because they well, which I'm super pleased about. And one of my suite mates, like she's one of my best friends, and we're not even direct roommates, and that kind of came so unexpectedly. So you really just have to put yourself out there when you're in that situation. You don't want to be that person who's just really in their shell. If you're comfortable going out like that, just do it. Don't second guess yourself.
And how did you decide on nursing? Did you know right away, all along, that that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I knew freshman year, and this sounds cheesy, but Grey's Anatomy did have a handle on that, I have to say. Yeah, and then also one of my aunts is a nurse, and I didn't want to go on the whole med school track, so I thought nursing would be a good option. And there's so many things you can do with nursing. You can go back to school. I'm looking at becoming a nurse anesthetist, so you have a ton of different ways you can advance your degree.
Carissa, I'm going to come back to you. So as a commuter, how do you get involved on campus?
So at first, I'm not gonna lie, it was very difficult. I honestly just put myself out there and just started making friends in all of my classes. And then once I found like my core friends in my classes, they introduced themselves, they introduced myself to multiple friends. So like I have friends that live on campus. Like I get involved by like going to the dorms with them, and then like going to the Devil's Den, which is like the cafe at campus. Also, Central has an app called the Cork app, and it has every single school event on it, and that's where you like RSVP and like get your tickets and stuff on. So that's how I got like involved on campus.
David, do you have any regrets about choosing your school? And do you see yourself staying there for 4 years?
I didn't have the best experience choosing my school, and it ended up being chosen for me, and I don't like where I am at the moment, so I'm currently looking at transferring. And while I do know a good amount of people that do love Coastal, the retention rate is around 40%, so a lot of people do go for the first couple of years and then transfer to a different school.
Allie, how was the transition to adult life been? What are some of the hardest parts about being on your own?
I actually found my transition very easy. Like getting to college and stuff, like I had a roommate that her and I are very similar, so her and I just started to jive together. I think the hardest part of getting used to things was my schedule, because I'm taking on average 18 to 21 credits a semester, which is considered overload for most people. So it is a lot, and then on top of that, having to follow all of these like all the stuff I have to do. So I think the hardest thing for me was making sure I'm staying on task and not having anyone to like, hey, maybe do this, hey, maybe do that, like reminding me in my ear like when I'm home or stuff, because it's just me. And it's like having to make sure I cover all my bases and everything. Also, something that was weirdly difficult that I've come over is just getting sick on campus. There was a really bad flu cold thing that went around and everybody got it, and I'm like, I didn't know how to like properly function or take care of myself for the first couple days, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta figure out how to take care of myself. And I remembered like how to like get going and how to like get my feet back on the ground, and like contacting university health services was something that I didn't think I would have to do so early on in my like career, like on my time at college, and I had to figure out how to do that. So it's like just figuring out the weird, tedious things and just making sure you're staying on task was the hardest part for me.
Jack, did you look at any other tech schools or just Lincoln Tech?
No, just Lincoln Tech. I just had my mind made up on what I wanted to do, and I was just like, there's nothing really going to stop me, so I just went with the first option.
And did you go right after you graduated?
Yeah, so about a month before I graduated high school, I decided to like go to Lincoln Tech and just enroll in the electrician course, just because like there's no point to take time off, because the faster you get out of school and get into your career, the faster you get to where you want to be in your career. And if you get that at a young age, you retire early, and then you're pretty much set.
Yeah. Gina, what was the deciding factor that led you to this school?
So it was sort of two things. One was their study abroad program. They have a great study abroad program, especially for nursing. And at other schools, study abroad for nursing is like 2 weeks. But at Sacred Heart, it can be a semester. It could be 2 weeks if you want it to be that. And my other one was, it was the perfect distance away from home for me. It's just a straight shot down the Merritt Parkway, 45 minutes without traffic. And I can go home on the weekends if I'm feeling sick, like I did that a few weekends ago. And if I forget something, my dad, thank God, will just come and bring it to me. I'm very grateful for that. But I'm independent enough. I'm not super close to home, so it's a great mix.
Ashley, what are some things that you dislike about your school or in college in general?
I definitely think one thing that I don't like is the food. So I definitely would say to take advantage of being home and having your parents cook for you right now, because it doesn't get any better. But yeah, Assumption's a small school, so there's only one dining hall too, so there's not like a ton of options where like obviously at a bigger school you have more dining halls. But other than that, I think it's nice to be that you're independent and you can do what you want when you want, and that's kind of just on you to be able to do what you need to do in that time.
So, question for all of you, and we'll just go down. What is one thing you would tell your senior self that you've learned from your experiences over the past year?
It gets better. Trust yourself. You can do whatever you need to do and have fun.
It's really easy right now. Just prepare for a lot more work and just to keep that mindset going.
I wouldn't tell them anything different, honestly. Just do what you do, you know, and just
I
go
like
with the
that.
punches, honestly.
Do you?
I think everyone thinks it's like a big transition, and like it could be, but at the same time, if you prepare yourself and you get stuff done in high school, like you get good grades, like you really have to focus on like when stuff is due, like it has to be due, like there's not really getting around that. So I think if you prepare yourself now and do all the things you're supposed to, you'll be fine when you go to college.
I would say it's the cliche, be yourself, because you find your friends by not putting on that mask, and if it's not really like in high school, I remember there was always like the popular people or the best dressed person, and in college no one cares about that. Everyone's there to get their major and to work hard, so it would definitely be just be yourself, find the right friends, and you'll be set.
As a senior, I always thought I had to go to college. That was the path. That's what everyone did. But come to find out, you really, not that you don't have to go to college, but it's not always the end-all be-all.
In high school, I was very in my head, what will this person think if I don't do this event right, if I don't run this right, what's it gonna be? The school won't like me, blah, 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 blah. No, in college it's not like that. You can't get in your head, just be confident, go out of your shell. Everything will be all right. Everyone's super accepting there because they're all in the same position as you are. They're away from home, so you'll be fine.
So we have some juniors listening as well, in addition to the seniors. So is there any advice that you would give them about what they're doing now to help them for next year?
I would say to not let distance or cost restrict you from applying to a school that you love to go to. There are some schools that I regret not applying to because of cost, but distance is only arbitrary, and you can always fly home if you need to, and you can always find a way of finessing more money in order to survive. You're going to be in debt regardless, so you might as well put your mental health first.
My genuine advice is to do your research now. I had the wonderful advantage of having all of my tours completed before COVID hit. And I was a junior at the time. If you do your research and you do your tours and you talk to students now, what you can do your fall of your senior year is apply and then also go back and like try to solidify your decisions then. And having that to your advantage and being ahead of schedule really gets you a grip on like your future. And I found that was a really good thing and made me more comfortable.
I would say just find your thing and stick to it, you know, just find it. That's it.
I would say, especially from a sports aspect, like to keep your options open, even with college in general, but just know that you have time and you think that like you're super rushed and that you have to make a decision, but to make sure you look at every aspect of what school you're looking at and what you want in a school to make sure that it meets all those requirements, because you do have the time to look at different options and see what you want to do, because you want to be happy where you are.
So what Ashley said before is how you can't get around those like when it's due, you can't like slip around it. So I recommend getting a planner or putting your assignments in a calendar or something just to get you started on learning that due dates are due dates. Because I like having the calendar and like say I put the assignment in, oh, this is when it was assigned and this is when it's due. It shows me how long I have so I can time manage when to do the assignment.
My advice is to make a plan and have a backup plan because the first plan might not always work out.
This is a cliche, but get involved. I mean, that was the best thing I ever did in high school, and it really pays off. It pays off on your college application. It pays off when you're meeting new people because you'll have common interests with them, and you'll just go into college feeling like you have good people person skills because getting involved will give you that in high school. And also, I'm in a few clubs at college, and I've taken what I've learned from high school, like with planning events, because as a senator at college, I have to do that. So just please get involved. Don't fall behind in that aspect because that's super important.
David, do you have a job? And if so, how did you find one?
I do have a job. I work right on Ocean Boulevard, which is right on the ocean in Myrtle Beach. It's a restaurant called Riptides. I found it. So one of my friends' friends is a server there. And me and two of my other friends carpool there. I had to take a leave because I'm in a show next semester, but it's nice to have cash flow, especially when you're in such an expensive area. And it's nice to get a break and meet people outside of campus and start to network in the industry that you want to be in.
So Chris, I have a question for you. I didn't write it, so you don't know it. I have a lot of students who are hesitant about going to Central because it's right down the road. Everyone goes there. They don't want to run into people. How often do you actually run into people from Berlin?
It's not really. I sometimes see a couple of people that I know, but the school is definitely bigger than high school, so you're going to see a lot of people you've never seen before. So I would say it's kind of like half and half. Like every once in a while I'll walk by someone and be like, oh, how are you? But it's very little that I ever see someone from high school.
And Gina, how did you like make new friends? Did you find it hard?
So at first I was like super nervous about that. And what one of my roommates and I did, we would knock on the doors of the people on our floor. And I know that could be annoying, but everyone's doing it. People left their doors open. You just got to put yourself out there. And like Carissa said earlier, I would make friends with people in my classes. I made friends with this girl because we were singing Red Taylor's version when it came out in the common room. I mean, you just meet people anywhere and everywhere, and you just have to make sure to keep in touch with those people, and you'll find a group, you'll find your people. You only need a few close people, and you're all set.
Allie, what is one skill you think you need to be successful in the post-secondary education?
That's really hard because it's hard to narrow it down to one because there's so many small little aspects that you need to have in order to best succeed. And a lot of it you're already building now. I guess the best thing you have to do is control over yourself. Control. If you have control over your own life and your own schedule and everything, then you're already starting to control your time management. You're already controlling your interests. If you have control, you're also as well, like, you're able to feel around and know where you fit in and everything like that. So if you have control over what you want the most and you know and what you want the most, then you are going to be okay. And I think that's the best way to explain that.
All right, so we have some time, so we wanted to open it up to you guys and see if you guys had any questions you want to ask. Oh, yes, Noah. Okay, so the question was, what's the average workload look like? So are you doing homework every night for hours? Anyone can answer.
I feel like it depends on the course. Because like I'll have a course that you have to like really put in all your effort, and then I'll have a course that you can kind of like get away with, but you still have to try. So it really depends on the course and the professor.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what Carissa said. For nursing, I really only put all of my time and energy into the classes focused to my major. Not to say that I put off the other classes, I just won't spend hours studying for those. So you just have to find the proper balance and prioritize certain classes over others. And also go with what you did in high school. At first, I was like, the stuff I did in high school won't work like my amount of studying I did, but it was perfect, 'cause that's what I was used to.
Yeah, I also think it depends on what your major is as well. I'm in a little bit of a different situation than most of the people at this table, so my workload goes to playing my instruments. And so my workload is a different kind of mindset. Like, yeah, I still have some homework and everything. It doesn't take me too long, but when I'm not doing homework and I'm not in class, I'm usually practicing. So it usually depends on like your major as well. And I, as someone who's in a different situation, I can explain that my workload is a lot, but in a different mindset.
All right. I think I saw a hand up. Yeah.
I mean, it's crossed my mind that like a lot of bad stuff could happen, but I really haven't been put into it yet, so I guess I don't really know.
Does anyone else have a question? Nick?
Do not take 8 a.m. classes. You will sleep through them.
Do not, unless your major requires them, yeah, don't take 8 a.m.s if you can avoid it.
No, 8 a.m.s aren't that bad. Like, you wake up at like.
They're pretty
6 for
bad.
high-
They're
for
pretty
high
bad.
My
school,
roommates don't
so-
like them.
They're rough.
So it's way better, and it's still like 2 hour and a half later, so.
All right. Riley?
So this year for me, so like I said, we practiced at 6 in the morning, so I woke up at 5:30 every day, and I had practice. And then my schedule this year, or this semester, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I had 4 classes, and Tuesday, Thursday, I had 1. So those 3 days were more busy, so I'd go to class, and then after, I'd usually go to the library for a little bit. We were required 6 hours a week in the library for study hall. And then later at night, like, as a freshman class, a lot of us would usually go to the dining hall and get food and then hang out after, like in the dorms.
Any other question? Oh, right there.
It's hard, especially for theater. It's like a 1% acceptance rate into your top program, and I was rejected from all but 2 of them. If you go into, I'm speaking to you because I know you. If you go into the theater department directly, and if you get into a BA placement, you can always re-audition at that school to get into the BFA. For those that don't know, it's a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Fine Arts. The Bachelor of Fine Arts is the gold program. It's hard not having control, but trust yourself, and they're looking for a specific fit.
Yeah, it's a whole process. I would say the hardest experience for me so far was the audition process. And it's something where, you know, you just have to keep setting goals and just keep your mindset going and forward, and just, when in doubt, keep connections because you're gonna have interviews as well on top of your auditions. Just try to make yourself look as much as, like, you wanna look, and when you present yourself, you wanna look like you wanna go to school. Even if it's not your top choice. For something like music or theater, you wanna make it sure you wanna get into a school. And it's like, we have to go through a whole, like, other 50 steps in order to do so. And so if you make yourself and you present yourself as well, that, like, I am in love with this school, I wanna go here, it's my top choice, and it's the bottom of your list, at least you're getting a good foot in. And it's just, make yourself as passionate as possible about every school, and just keep your mindset going of, like, I want to go to every school I'm applying to, even if it's not true, because at least then, when you get into something, into your program, that you get into your program and you're like, wow, they really liked me, and you want to be liked as much as possible. And honestly, if they like you and you're good at what you do, and you just fit the university, you're an in, and that interview is very important.
Oh.
My classes are like 15 to 20 kids, besides my anatomy lectures and chem lectures. Those are obviously bigger because they're huge lectures. But I feel really comfortable. I know my teachers, they know me on a first name basis. I know my classmates. So that's one thing I love about Sacred Heart.
My classes are also about the same size. My goal is to transfer to a bigger school. I'm a very outgoing person, so it's not that hard for me to make friends. I'm also very personable in class, so by doing that, I'm able to make personal connections with my teachers. And when you do that, it also gives you a little bit more leniency when you're doing your assignments. Like when we had midterms a couple months ago, I think it was, I needed to take a break from my mental health, and I was able to get an extension on my midterm essay, and I was one of the only people that got the top scoring grades. So just show your personality in class, regardless of the size, and it will help.
As someone who goes to a very large university, UMass is, in case anyone's curious, is around the same size as UConn. It's something where, for me, in my focused major, right now, I'm in a class of about 40 people, and it's all the freshman and sophomore music majors. However, there's other people, from what I've talked to, and my friends, who are in lectures of like 300-400 people. And that's just something that is normal. And from what I've gathered, people actually like those lectures a lot because sometimes you just really don't want to be known and you want to just be able to do your own little thing. And so someone who's a little bit more introverted, who is taking a couple of those classes next semester, it is something I'm looking forward to because sometimes I just want to be in my own little world, and then I have friends who already took the classes or even upperclassmen that I know that I'm now friends with in order to help me out with that sort of situation. So it all depends on what you're looking for. If that's something where you don't want to be something little small in like a big class, maybe avoid lectures, do discussions instead. And usually larger universities have those options as well.
Any other questions? Oh, yep. They got all the questions. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Did any of you guys go on an interview for college? Yeah? What kind of questions should they prep for?
Oh, I'll go, sorry. I went on an interview for Sacred Heart, and they asked, what are you involved in? Why do you want to go here? Are there any other schools that are over Sacred Heart and why, like on your list? What do you want to get out of Sacred Heart? What will you contribute to Sacred Heart? I don't know why these are burned in my memory. Just basic stuff like that. It's not too overwhelming. And then they ask, obviously, if you have any questions for them. Whenever you go in an interview, you want to have questions for your interviewer. It makes you look more professional. It makes you stand out. So just make sure you do that if you have an interview with a college.
So Gina, did you approach them for the interview or did they approach you?
I approached them, and you have to take I'm not going to say that word right. You have to take the first step, and that also puts you higher on their list.
So what did you do? Just reach out to the admissions counselor?
Yeah, so I reached out to my admissions counselor, introduced myself, explained why I would like an interview, and we set one up over Zoom.
One question I wasn't prepared for was what I didn't like about the school, and it was an interview for Penn State, which was a school I was very interested in going to, so because I loved almost everything about it. So I was kind of thrown off by that question because I didn't have an answer.
I was really thrown off with the question of what do I feel like I'm doing wrong when I play saxophone? And that was something where I was asked for my top university at UMass, and I was like, oh, because they want to know, like, so that's something that they might ask you about, like, what do you feel like you didn't do successful in your high school career? What do you want to change, sort of situation? And that's something that it kind of threw me off a little bit because I didn't expect to talk negatively about myself in an interview sort of setting. But they do want to know you, so they do want to know what you want to work on and what your flaws are. And it's, even though it is scary, just be honest and just talk about, I mean, don't go into crazy detail, but like, just be like, oh, these are the things that I want to work on, is what I found helped me better answer that question.
I also got asked what type of animal I would be if I could be an animal. It was interesting. I said a penguin, so if you're ever asked that, go with penguin, because my interviewer ate that up.
Yeah. Are any of you guys involved in, I know you're in marching band and you're in soccer, but are any of you guys like in clubs, sorority, fraternities? anything?
Yeah, I'm in Student Senate, so I'm a senator for my class. I'm in Relay for Life, which is a thing I did in Berlin when I was in middle school, and I loved it. I'm also in Student Nurse Association, Habitat for Humanity. I think that's it. That's it. Yeah.
I'm in the American Marketing Association, and I'm in a club called A Moment of Magic. It's where we like dress up as Disney characters and visit sick children in hospitals. Something that I wasn't prepared for college clubs is that you have to pay in order to be a member of them. So for that club specifically, I had to pay $50 a semester and then raise $450 for my costume.
I'm in marching band, as Ms. Hickey mentioned, and then I'm also in what's called Hoop Ice Band at UMass, both of which are open to anybody. Marching band, you essentially go and you're like, over the summer, and you're like, I want to be in your marching band. And they're like, great, welcome to marching band. Where Hoop Ice, everyone's welcome, but you do have to audition just for parts and everything, but everyone's part of it. They also have concert band that's open to all the public and non-music majors. And it's a really good community. Even with 350 people, almost everybody knows each other. It's pretty wild.
We have time for, I want to say like 1 or 2 more questions. Ben?
So I'm not in a club, but I have a job and I work almost every single day of the week. It's definitely difficult because when you get to college, you think you have so much more free time, but you realize that during that free time, you really need to apply yourself to your schoolwork. So you kind of just have to figure out like a schedule, like a time management schedule. And then once you like figure that out, you'll be pretty good. You just have to remember that, say you have an hour to yourself, do that homework, just get it over with.
Any other questions? Yep. So what are the benefits of joining the military besides college?
Well, me with joining the National Guard, I had freedom to still go the career path that I wanted to go, which was firefighting, so I'm starting those classes now. I mean, you get a lot of insurance benefits, but I guess like the main one is, the free college, but it gives you more freedom with the National Guard that you're still able to get like another career if you wanted to, and if you did want to go to college, you still have that option to go to college while still in the National Guard and still getting all those benefits.
Yep.
So I have a story. On my first day of school, I actually didn't understand the parking garage, so I went the wrong way. So it's not, you basically have to be there early. So say you have a class in the middle of the day, a lot of kids are gonna be there. So you kind of have to plan. So like, I'm not sure how to really explain it, but if say you have a class in 5 minutes and you get there, you're gonna be late to that class because there's so many people trying to park also. And it's more of, I guess that's all. It's just being there early so that you get a spot in the parking garage and all that.
Yep. We're gonna ask a different question. Anyone else? All right. On that note, let's give them a round.
We'll talk about that later. Hello? Yeah.
So the bell's gonna be ringing in like 5 minutes, so just stay seated until the bell rings.
That was a good one.
Okay?